My name's Jenna. This is my class called The Truth About Processed Foods. I am the dietetic intern here, so hopefully that is any credentials to convince you that I kind of know what I'm talking about. So we're just going to be going over what are processed foods, the different levels of processing, the consequences, the benefits of processing foods, along with any health risks that come with processing foods from the consequences. Then I'm just going to go over the basics of a nutrition label so I can get into how to spot the different levels of processing using a nutrition label. Then a couple healthy swaps, just, how to go from ultra processed to minimally processed, how to just change up your diet a little bit. So first things first, what are processed foods? Processed foods are just going to be any products or goods that are changed from their natural state. They can be changed slightly or they can be changed a lot, being like an ultra processed food. And then additionally, processed foods can be anything. It can be from just cleaning an apple at an orchard to TV dinners. So there's a wide range of processing, and it kind of just gets slightly unhealthier as it goes. And so this spectrum is going to be called the NOVA system. So the NOVA system is going to be 4 levels, increasing in processing each level. And I'm just going to, go through them. So we have level 1, unprocessed and minimally processed, processed culinary ingredients, processed food, and then ultra processed foods. So we're going to start with level 1, which is going to be unprocessed or minimally processed foods. So these are just going to be naturally occurring goods with no added salts, sugars, fats, or oils. So think, milk, eggs, fruits and vegetables. And these fruits and vegetables, they can be frozen, fresh, dried. So they're just, slightly processed or not processed at all. Then we're going to have group 2, which is going to be processed culinary ingredients. So these are going to be food products from that level 1 that have been processed by either, pressing, refining, milling, grinding. So these are going to be things that you find in your home kitchen or a restaurant kitchen that are going to help with prepping, seasoning, and cooking foods. So that's going to be, like your oils. It's going to be your salts, your sugars. And so I have a couple examples actually. So like our vegetable oil that we have here, that's going to be, like a processed culinary ingredient. And then I'm just going to go back to level 1 really quick, just like a mango, unprocessed. And then baby carrots, these are going to be minimally processed because the ingredients just say carrots on them. They just put them in a bag and everything, and, clean them up. And so level 3 is going to be processed foods. So these are going to be food products made by adding, the sugar, the oils, the sodium, the fat, and that's going to help create simple products. These products are going to either, have their shelf life extended like canned goods, which like applesauce, canned good, the shelf life is extended, compared to just a fresh apple, it lasts longer. Or it's going to be like a flavor enhancer as well. So like, sugared nuts, seeds, and something else. Another example is going to be like cheese, milk. That's going to go through some processing as well. And then group 4 is going to be our ultra processed food. So this is what most people think when they hear processed foods. So this is going to be manufactured food products created with ingredients from group 2, along with different additives, preservatives. And so that's going to include, high fructose corn syrup. It's going to include food enhancers, stabilizers. And so it's just something to enhance the taste or convenience of the food. And so our examples are going to be, breads, rolls, cakes, cookies, even like flavored yogurts or fake meat for vegetarians. Let me go over here. And so this is just a little example, just because that was a lot of information I threw at you guys. So an example, it's not going to be exactly like the levels, but close enough. So level 1, plain apple, unprocessed. They just clean it up, slap a sticker on there and call it a day. Level 2 is going to be minimally processed. So they just cut up apple slices and threw it in a bag, just like the carrots. So just a little something. Then our level 3 is going to be a processed food. So that's going to be like applesauce made with just, apples, water and a simple additive to prevent like the browning. So it's something to extend the shelf life, make it last longer. And then our level 4 is going to be a highly processed like apple juice that's made with food coloring and high fructose corn syrup. That's something that they did to enhance the flavor of it. And it adds, you know, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of things we're not trying to get a lot of in our diet. And so our next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the benefits of processing food. So processing food, there actually are benefits to it, surprisingly. So one thing is going to be, it's going to kill harmful bacteria. So an example I like to say is milk. When you get it from the cow, it goes through a heating process, which is going to kill all the harmful bacteria. So when it goes on our shelves, we are able to drink it without, you know, hurting ourselves. Next is going to extend shelf life, kind of how I said with the canned versus fresh goods. It's going to make it last longer. It's going to be like the canned beans, the canned fruits, the vegetables. Those are some good examples. Then we're going to have fortification. So fortification is adding nutrients like iron, folic acid, or vitamin D into foods. So think breakfast cereals, they have, you know, some added iron to it to go into our diet. And it's just to help fill the, you know, the gaps that are missing in the general American diet. And then we're going to have enrichment, which is adding back nutrients that get taken away. So an example is like the milk example. When it gets heated to kill all the harmful bacteria, it's also going to, you know, kill off some nutrients as well. So we're going to add that nutrients back in so we're not missing anything. And then it's also helpful to help specialized products to support dietary restrictions. So think gluten-free, lactose-free, those types of things. Usually to help those who have allergies. And then our consequences are going to include nutrient loss. So like the heating and refining processes are going to take away some vitamins and minerals and fiber. So once again, like that milk example, heating it up is going to take away the nutrients. When they create white bread, that's going to strip away a lot of fiber and B vitamins than whole grain bread would have. Additionally, it adds a lot of sugar, salt, and fat into the foods. So like many processed foods, they do contain, you know, the added sugars, the sodium, and the unhealthy fats. And that is what the general public will think when they hear processed foods. Then also it can add harmful additives and preservatives. So like some chemical additives, kind of like food coloring, it can be linked to allergic reactions, possible carcinogenic effects. And next slide, yay. So due to the consequences of the processing foods and adding the sugars, the sodium, the fats, having just a high abundance of this food, it can result in health risks. So it can result in increased risk of chronic diseases such as, you know, heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, metabolic syndrome. Then also it can impact our mental health as well. So can, you know, worsen with depression, anxiety, and also a poor gut microbiome. So what I'm trying to say is that eating these highly processed foods can give us bad gut health. And surprisingly, our gut health is linked to our brain. So having poor gut health can be linked to mood swings, can be linked to like brain fog. And so that's something that I feel like not a lot of people know, and it's a big thing. Now I'm going to get into a little bit about applying this to our everyday lives. So while I do want you to stay away from like ultra processed foods, some processed foods can be, you know, good. You can't tell if it's sometimes you can't tell if it's harmful or if it's good for you. And because it's difficult to figure this out, I just want to quickly go over the basics of a nutrition label before I go deep into it. So I'm going to kind of hop around a little bit, try to point as best as I can for y'all. So first things first, number one, serving size. That's going to be at the top of a nutrition label. The serving size is just going to tell you like how much one person typically eats of this food. So not sure exactly what this food is, but one person typically eats about 2/3 cup of it. And so the rest of our information is going to be based off of just how much that 2/3 cups provide. And then at the top of that, it's going to talk about servings per container. And that's just telling you how many of this one serving is in that container, which is pretty self-explanatory, but I got to say it. And so then we're going to go to calories. And so the calories, just how many calories one serving is going to provide. And then I'm going to actually hop over to number 5 over here at daily value. And so our daily value is going to be how much of one nutrient is in that serving. And so the daily value is going to be based off of a 2,000 calorie diet. And just a little example, so the total fat's going to be 10%. So that's about 200 calories out of 2,000 that a daily diet would have. And so just a little tip to let you know if something is too high of a daily value or too low. We like to say 5% or less is going to be low, or 20% or more is going to be high. So example, this one is going to be 20% of added sugar, so that's high in added sugars, while saturated fats is 5%, so it's going to be low in saturated fat. And so next thing, looking at the red, those are things that we want to try to limit in our diet. So, saturated fat, trans fats, cholesterol, sodium, added sugar, while the green is going to be things we want to try to get more of in our diet. So we want fiber, even though it's not highlighted. We want protein. We want different vitamins and minerals like vitamin D and calcium and iron. And then I quickly just want to point out added sugars specifically, because this is very important when talking about processed foods. Added sugars are the sugars that are added during processing. They're not naturally occurring. So this is something that's added during the manufacturing process. And that's why I'm pointing it out, because that's what we're talking about mainly. And then last thing is going to be our ingredient list. So our ingredient list, it's going to be either underneath the nutrition label or it's going to be next to it. It should be, easy to spot. And it's just going to show you all the ingredients that are in that product in descending order by weight. So what is in the product most is going to be first, and it just goes down. And so let's talk how to tell the difference between minimally processed and ultra processed food using a food label. Minimally processed foods, that's going to be a very short ingredient list. It's going to be foods that you recognize. They're going to be whole foods. For example, here, let me give you guys an example that you can look at. So for this premium chicken or like carrots, if you look at the ingredients, it's going to be a very short ingredient list. It's going to be whole foods that you recognize, like the carrots literally just says carrots at the bottom. It's also going to have no artificial additives in it. It's going to have no sweeteners, no preservatives. It's going to be higher in fiber, which is something not a lot of people look at, but it is interesting. And it's also going to have little to no added sugar. And say, you guys agree with that on those nutrition labels that kind of fits the bill of minimally processed? Yeah. And then I will give you guys examples of ultra processed as well. Here you are. Here you are, Christine. So ultra processed foods, this is going to have a really long ingredient label, like 10 plus ingredients usually. They're going to have ingredients that you don't recognize. I mean, I don't even recognize them sometimes in this field. It's going to contain additives that you guys don't have at home in your home kitchen. Unless you do, I don't know how you got them, because I would like to know. It's going to have very little fiber because it gets stripped away in the processing. And for some reason, they didn't want to add it back. And then it's also going to include high levels of processed sugar as well. You guys can kind of tell that. So do you guys think that those two are kind of more ultra processed? Yeah. And then I just have a little example of minimally processed and ultra processed. Please ignore any spelling errors. I did not realize that. So minimally processed, just pointing out, it's going to have lower levels of fat, a little bit lower sodium, carbohydrates are going to be lower. Total sugars are going to be lower. And then the ingredients list, you see it has the word whole grain in it. It's going to have, words that you recognize you can have in your own kitchen. While ultra processed, it's going to be a little bit higher in calories. It's going to be higher in our fats, higher in our sodiums, higher in our added sugars. While this is a really short ingredient list, it does have, a little bit higher calorie items like sugar is the second ingredient. So that's the second most used in that product. Corn syrup as well. So it's just a little bit, higher calories and everything. And then here's just my examples of some ultra processed to minimally processed foods that you can swap out. I'm just going to point out my two favorites. My favorite one is chips because they can be, they have made them a little bit healthier, but still you can make them a little bit more minimally processed with popcorn and olive oil and season them with salt, or they have like low sodium seasonings that you can choose on your own, which I love. And then also white bread is a great example of ultra processed, and just making it more minimally processed is the whole grain bread that you can get. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so glad I got, more than one person to join me. You guys have any questions at all?